So it seems to be a bit of a trend these days for a lot of collectors and people on the internet to show off a few things in their collection that they would never ever get rid of. And that sounded like a really fun video for me to make until I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I would probably never get rid of. And it's hard for me to narrow it down to stuff that I thought would be relevant for this video. I mean, you guys saw from the thumbnail, Zippy. Well, the thing is, I don't consider Zippy to be a thing that I could ever sell if I wanted to. I mean, look, all kidding aside, all role-playing aside, Zippy, this is just a Helioptile plush. It's mine. I've had her for about 10 years now, and she's been in the background of so many hundreds of videos that I made. She's become a staple of the channel. So to me, it's almost like she's a member of my family. Not literally, I know it's just a plush, come on, but I don't consider this plush to be an item that I could sell. Even if I did want to sell it, it's not really valuable, so I have no incentive to. So I had to struggle to narrow it down to just 10 things, and eventually only to just 5 things that I thought would be relevant for this video to show off to you guys, and flat out say, hey, I'm never getting rid of this stuff. Even if I was offered thousands of dollars for these items, they're just so important to me that I am going to keep them basically forever until I die. That being said, I did come up with 5 items in my collection that I am never getting rid of. Never selling it, never donating it. These 5 items are going to be mine until the day I die. Hopefully 130 years from now. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with number 5, and that'll be this cartridge right here. This is the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Color. And this I'm keeping because this has a lot of sentimental value to me for one major reason. This was the very first video game I ever bought. So I bought this brand new from a Blockbuster Video in the year 2001. I have a vague recollection of owning a Game Boy at that time, but no games. We had only ever rented games, and it took me until the year 2001 to finally buy a Game Boy, and it was a Game Boy Brick, not a Game Boy Color. And I remember distinctly trying to find a brand new video game for 10 bucks because that was what I had, and I ended up calling a Blockbuster Video and said, hey, what do you have that I could buy for 10 bucks? And they said, well, we have this copy of Pokemon Trading Card Game for Game Boy Color. And I remember having to call back about 10 minutes after that call ended because I realized, oh wait, does it work on the original Game Boy? And let me tell you, I was 9 years old at the time. I was super embarrassed to have to do that. I mean, I get phone shy as it is, even as an adult. So young me, I was so scared and so nervous calling. It was like, hey, me again. Does it work for the original Game Boy? And the employee's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I bought this brand new, still shrink wrapped in the box from Blockbuster Video for $10 in the year 2001. And it is still in my collection to this day. This is the item that has been in my collection the longest. Out of all of the thousands of items in this place, this is the one piece of my collection that I have had longer than everything else. I do have some things in my possession that I've had longer, like some of my childhood toys or kindergarten papers or, you know, that kind of stuff, family heirlooms. But as far as things that I bought and that I cherish as part of my collection that I've been collecting, this has been here the longest for over 20 years. And it's actually kind of surprising me that I still have it because there were plenty of other games that I got during the time that I would buy from GameStop, play for a year or two, and then resell to GameStop. So it's kind of shocking that I actually still have this. I put a new battery in it. I speed ran through the game in only an hour or two, and you know, it's a great rush of nostalgia. It's not a game that I can exactly recommend to modern day Pokemon fans if you've never played before, but yeah, this Pokemon Trading Card Game for Game Boy, number 5, never getting rid of it. It just has a lot of sentimental value to me. Coming in at number 4, this Latios and Latios themed Game Boy Advance. This is complete in box, it's all in there. I'll go ahead and open it up and show it to you guys, actually. Yep, here it is. I actually have taken it out of the bubble wrap to play it a few times, but yeah, it's there, all the inserts are there, and It's complete. You're going to see a pattern on the rest of these items after this, but Latios is my favorite Pokemon, or was my favorite Pokemon for 10 years, basically between the release of Pokemon Heroes and the release of XY when Helioptile became my favorite Pokemon. Latios is still my second favorite Pokemon. Pokemon Heroes is my favorite Pokemon movie. Some days it swaps place with Pokemon I Choose You, but consistently Pokemon Heroes goes back to the #1 spot. And when I found out that they made a limited edition, Japan-only, I think Pokemon Center exclusive Game Boy Advance for the two of them, I knew I wanted it as soon as I found out about it. When my channel was at its peak, I was making so much money that it was more than easy enough to justify buying one of these off eBay. Of course, they were also a lot cheaper back then than they are now. I think I only paid $300 total for this, which might seem like an insane deal, and it was actually a pretty good deal even back then. But I saw the deal and I jumped on it, and I've had it ever since, and I would gladly sell every single other handheld console in my collection if it meant that I could keep this. Not only does it mean a lot to me, it's also a really limited and rare box. I mean, a lot of people still have the Game Boy, but finding the Game Boy complete in box, I mean, that's just hard to do for any system, much less a limited edition like this. There were not that many of these made, only a few thousand. I'm very happy to have this one in my possession. This is at the center of my Pokemon Heroes shrine, and I love it. I love it so much. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to remind myself, oh yeah, I own this. I don't have to look for it anymore. Number 3, God, I hope that I can make this work. Boy. This is a playmat that was given out as a contest prize from the Pokemon Masters EX mobile game, and I won. I actually made a whole video already showing this off when I received it from DNA, but this is a playmat that was made to commemorate the release of Lily and Lunala in the game, and as you can see, it looks pretty gorgeous. Lily is my favorite character in the entire franchise, anime, games, everything. She's my all-time favorite character. I loved her story arc in the original Sun and Moon. And when she got this playmat, and she just looks beautiful in this. She looks beautiful. The art looks beautiful. Lunala is actually, this sync pair is actually really powerful in the game too. This made me want to play the game more. Now I play it practically every single day. This is just an amazing playmat, and it is behind glass now to make sure that it is kept in as good condition as possible. I can't wait till I can nail holes in my walls and I could display this properly. Never getting rid of it. I actually, after I won it, I got a offer. Somebody literally offered me over $2,000 for it, and I turned them down because, nope, you could offer me $20,000 and I still wouldn't get rid of it. Actually, I might, because then I could just buy another one for less than that and just keep the money, but yeah, I'm not getting rid of it. Number 2, this might seem a little controversial, but I've explained it before in other videos, so I'll gladly go ahead and do it again here. This graded copy of Pokemon Silver. Now, the fact that it's graded isn't what gives it meaning to me. It's basically graded just to keep it in good condition, to keep it from getting any more dented. But the reason I'm putting this on this list, especially so high up, is solely because Pokemon Silver is my favorite video game of all time. Not my favorite Pokemon game, my favorite video game. I put it above Breath of the Wild, I put it above Final Fantasy VII. This is my one and only favorite, #1 best, most played, most loved video game of all time. I don't know if anything could ever beat this. Breath of the Wild got close. But there's just something about this, probably a lot of nostalgia, honestly, for when Gen 2 came out when I was around 8 or 9. That I am never going to let down. When I got this graded, I explained it at the time, but I'll go ahead and explain again now. It just means a lot for me to own a game that is still sealed, because it feels like it's still on a store shelf. It hasn't been touched by human hands, the insides haven't been seen by human eyes. The battery on the cartridge is probably dead. It could even be leaking inside of here, I don't know. But the fact that it's still sealed means that it's basically brand new. Even if it's still dinged up to heck, even though it's got a 7.0 B+ rating, which is not good, especially for a cardboard game, even though it still has the sticker right there saying it's $35 from, well, it doesn't actually say where the store is from. It may not be in the best condition, and honestly, even if I did find one in a better condition, I would probably still keep this one anyway because this is mine. I bought this brand new sealed on eBay, sticker and all, and I sent it in to be graded. I didn't care what the grade was. In fact, this is a better grade than I expected. A lot of people say that graded games are a scam because it's just a lot of speculators and investors sitting on games for a few years hoping to flip it for a profit. They're not a scam to me because I'm not flipping my games. I'm never selling this. All of my graded games I'm never selling. I'm sitting on them. I only get graded copies of games that I love, that I want to display, and that I'm never going to sell. And Pokemon Silver is the #1 game of that category because it's my favorite game. This is my copy. It is mine. And it's just really cool to own a copy of my favorite game ever that's still brand new. There's just something really cool about that to me. And finally, we have come to the #1 thing in my collection that I would never ever sell. And if you guys have been watching my channel religiously, you probably already know what this is. And if you don't know what this is, allow me to introduce you to this sketchbook with that drawing on the inside. And it's still all wrapped in plastic because I want to protect it. So sorry about all the squeakies. Anyway, this is a merchandise item that was released to tie in with Pokemon Heroes in the year 2002. Golly, 22 years ago? So if you've watched the film, you know that there's a scene towards the end where Bianca had sketched Ash and Pikachu right here, and it basically looks exactly like that. And so somebody somewhere made a official Bianca's sketchbook recreation and sold it as merchandise when the film released. And of course, that film did terrible even in Japan, so very few people bought any merchandise for the film, including this. When I found out that this even existed, it became a holy grail item for me. And for years it was a grail. It took me so long to finally find a copy, but I did, and now it's mine. And again, once again, Pokemon Heroes, my favorite Pokemon movie ever, and the fact that this sketchbook exists makes it feel a little more real. I know it's a movie, but it's nice to pretend that it's not. It's nice to pretend that Pokemon could exist because we got something a little more tangible here. We got this beautiful picture of Ash and Pikachu right here. Latias herself touched this. Most people don't even know that this exists, and even the people who do, probably it's not for them. People aren't collectors of random Pokemon merchandise. They love collecting the video games or plushies or stuff like that. But to me, for my favorite Pokemon movie, one of my favorite movies ever, having a little extra something special just is the icing on the cake. And I think that that is a great way to bring all of these items together. These items, some of them are actually worth a lot, some of them aren't worth very much, but they're all priceless to me because I have a sentimental, emotional attachment to all of them, and that is something that you just can never put a price on. So that'll wrap up this video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you guys have something in your collection that you will never sell, make sure to leave a comment. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing because if you haven't noticed, I'm doing these kinds of videos a lot this year, and I have a lot more planned in the future. That'll bring this video to an end. Thanks everyone for watching. It's nice to bring Zippy back into the spotlight again, even for just a quick video. Stay tuned for more.